You probably thought the Amazing World of Gumball was just a random, goofy cartoon. Talking fish, exploding rainbows, a T-Rex in high school. But what if I told you it's one of the smartest shows ever made about identity? Behind the absurdity and chaos, Gumball hides a deeper truth, one that hits harder than most people realize. Because at its core, this isn't just a comedy. It's a story about figuring out who you are in a world that constantly tells you who to be. Think about it. How many times have you changed something about yourself just to fit in? At school, at home, online? We all wear masks. We shift our voices, alter our style, filter our thoughts. Not because we're fake, but because we're scared. Scared we won't be accepted as we truly are. It starts early, and it doesn't stop. Sometimes you feel like you're too much for some people, or not enough for others. So you bend, you mold, you become what they want, and lose track of what you are. This quiet identity crisis, it's more common than we admit, and strangely enough, a cartoon cat named Gumball Watterson might understand it better than most adults. Every week, Gumball isn't just surviving ridiculous plot lines, he's trying to figure out who he's supposed to be in a world that makes absolutely no sense. Sound familiar? That's because Gumball's journey is all of ours. What makes the Amazing World of Gumball stand out is that it doesn't pretend the world is easy to figure out. It doesn't give you clean answers or neat resolutions. Instead, it reflects something much messier and more real, the feeling of being lost in a world full of contradictions and pressure. This show doesn't teach identity with lesson of the day morals. It teaches by showing what happens when a kid tries to be everything and none of it works. And it's not just Gumball, every character, Darwin, Anise, Nicole, even background extras, is wrestling with who they are in a world that's constantly shifting around them. By the end of this video, you'll understand how Gumball uses humor, absurdity, and chaos to reveal one deep truth. You don't find your identity like a hidden treasure. You create it, moment by moment, mistake by mistake, episode by episode. Now, have you noticed how Gumball seems like a different person in nearly every episode? One day he's sweet and innocent, the next sarcastic and selfish, then suddenly he's deep and philosophical. It's easy to laugh it off as random comedy, but look closer. That inconsistency is the point. Gumball doesn't have one set personality because he's a mirror of what growing up really feels like. Trying on different versions of yourself just to see what fits. He mimics others. He experiments. He fails a lot. But failure is part of growth. You can't discover who you are unless you're allowed to be a little bit of everything first. In the origins, we see how even his bond with Darwin shaped his character. In the copycats, he loses his sense of self when others start copying him. And in The Kids, he pretends to be an adult, only to lose all his joy. These aren't just random episodes. They're fragments of a psychological journey. Gumball isn't inconsistent, he's evolving, just like we all are. His shifting personality isn't a flaw, it's one of the most honest elements of the entire show. And he's not the only one. Darwin, who started off as Gumball's pet goldfish, somehow becomes his brother, best friend, and moral compass. But Darwin's story, while hilarious on the surface, is surprisingly deep. Think about it. Darwin literally grew legs, learned to walk, talk, and seamlessly integrated into the Watterson family. He adapted, not just physically, but emotionally and socially. He wasn't born into this world in the traditional sense. He chose to become who he is. That's powerful. Darwin represents how identity is shaped by love, connection, and circumstance. He constantly navigates what it means to be loyal, kind, and real, even when the world around him is chaotic, fake, or unfair. In many episodes, Darwin becomes the emotional anchor. He's the one who pulls Gumball back to center, reminding him, and us, what really matters: kindness, truth, and heart. But even Darwin wrestles with his own identity. In The Party, he tries too hard to fit in with older kids and loses himself. In The Roots, we see his longing to understand where he came from and how he fits into the bigger picture. Darwin's journey shows us that identity isn't about perfection, it's about staying grounded, even as you grow into someone new. And sometimes, the softest character carries the strongest truth. Then there's Anise Watterson, 4 years old, smarter than everyone in the room, and often completely ignored. She's the embodiment of the gifted kid trope: logical, articulate, right about everything, and deeply frustrated. Because being the smartest doesn't mean being heard. In the Watterson house, it often means talking to walls. But Anise's arc is about more than just being intelligent. She's under pressure, expected to hold things together, to always know the answers, to be perfect. And when you're always expected to be perfect, you start to wonder, do people love you, or the version of you that never messes up? In episodes like The Intelligence and The Authority, we see Anise unravel. She lashes out, not because she's mean, but because she's exhausted. She's tired of being seen only as her brain. Many of us relate to that. We perform competence because it's how we're valued. We show up responsible, composed, and strong, and wonder why no one checks in on how we're really doing. Anise teaches us that being brilliant doesn't mean being okay. Perfection is a performance, and real identity needs space to be messy, emotional, and human. And then there's Nicole Watterson. Gumball's mom is more than just a background parent. She's a full-time worker, a full-time caregiver, and perhaps most painfully, a full-time survivor of her own unresolved past. On the surface, Nicole is fierce, organized, and constantly in control. But beneath that is pressure, exhaustion, and the constant fear of not being enough. Nicole represents what happens when adulthood becomes survival mode. She's always chasing perfection, in her job, in her parenting, even in her sense of self. And in The Choices, we glimpse the life she could have had, the roads she didn't take, the dreams she gave up to build a life her family could survive in. She didn't become a tiger mom by accident. She had to, because no one else was going to fight for her, or for her kids. But the cost? Nicole's softness, her creativity, her sense of who she is outside of being mom or employee of the month. And isn't that the reality for so many adults? We play roles for so long, we forget we're more than them. Nicole shows us that identity isn't just about who you become, it's also about who you had to leave behind. And healing means not just remembering who you were, but forgiving yourself for why you had to change. Not every character in Gumball gets a full backstory, but even the joke characters say something important, especially about identity and popularity. Take Tobias, the loud, overconfident, try-too-hard guy. Always flexing, always inserting himself, always shouting for attention. But underneath, he's terrified of being invisible. He's not being himself. He's being what he thinks people will like. Then there's Banana Joe, the class clown, the weird one, the kid who always takes it too far. We laugh because he's ridiculous. But look closer, and you'll see a textbook example of someone using humor to hide insecurity. He overperforms because he doesn't think being himself is enough. Both characters reflect a real identity trap, the desperate need to be noticed, even if it means becoming someone you're not. Whether in school or adulthood, many of us know that feeling, trying to be the funny one, the cool one, the chill one, just to feel like we belong. But when identity becomes performance, you're not connecting, you're auditioning for approval. And Gumball quietly shows us that never works. Eventually, the mask slips, and what's underneath is someone just trying to belong. Some of Gumbo's most profound moments happen when the show loses its mind, on purpose. Episodes like The Disaster, The Puppets, the finale, and The Inquisition don't just break the fourth wall, they obliterate it. Characters glitch, art styles shift, reality collapses. But that chaos? It's not random, it's a visual metaphor for identity. When Gumball questions reality, he's really questioning himself. What's real? What's expected? Who am I supposed to be when the world doesn't make sense? The distorted visuals mirror emotional breakdowns. The surrealism mirrors confusion. The rules breaking? That's what it feels like when you no longer fit the role you've been performing. These meta-episodes don't just talk about identity crisis, they show it. The entire format unravels as Gumball confronts the pressure to be someone he's not. Because sometimes, finding yourself means watching everything else fall apart first. So what does the amazing world of Gumball actually teach us about identity? It teaches us that identity is never fixed. You don't become yourself once and stay that way. You do it again and again, through mistakes, through experiments, through growth. Gumball doesn't punish confusion, it celebrates it. It tells us that trying on different versions of yourself is part of being alive. That being inconsistent, weird, emotional, or uncertain doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're evolving. The show doesn't hand you a lesson at the end of each episode. It hands you a mirror. Sometimes funny, sometimes painful, but always honest. And most importantly, Gumball reminds us that growing up isn't just about discovering who you are. It's about unlearning everything you were told you had to be. Whether you're the overachiever like Anise, the adaptable peacemaker like Darwin, the overworked adult like Nicole, or the insecure performer like Banana Joe, Gumball holds space for all of it. Because identity isn't a straight line. It's a messy, looping, beautiful mess, just like the show. And maybe that's the point. Gumball isn't trying to teach you how to be someone. It's trying to show you that whoever you are is already enough. You came here for a cartoon and ended up staring straight into a mirror. That's the magic of the amazing world of Gumball. Beneath the chaos, the comedy, and the color is a message most adults still need to hear. You don't have to have it all figured out. Identity isn't a final form. It's a series of choices, reflections, breakdowns, rebuilds. Every time Gumball changes, struggles, or even glitches, he's just doing what all of us are, evolving. So if you've ever felt lost, out of place, or like you're not enough, remember this. Even a blue cartoon cat doesn't know who he really is sometimes. And that's okay. If this video made you think differently about Gumball, about yourself, or about growing up, leave a comment below and share your favorite episode that hit you a little harder than it should have. And if you want more deep dives into the stories behind the cartoons, don't forget to subscribe, because the next one might just change how you see everything again. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep being weird, and keep becoming you.